Hey again, guys. Hope you're having a great day, and hopefully got outside for some fresh air and maybe a run today. Today's class is going to be a lot more informal and maybe sort of even workshop style. I'm going to go over inversions, just a few different ones, because we're all different and we all have different abilities and likes and dislikes. So there's something for everyone in this class today. So we'll just start out with a regular kind of yoga warm up, and then we'll get started and see where it goes from here. Sort of winging it today. So let's just start in a seated position. We'll do our kind of typical warm up, sitting nice and tall, spine nice and straight, crown of the head pointing towards the ceiling. Let's take a great big breath together. Inhale, reach the arms to the sky. Exhale, we're going to twist to the right, landing the left hand on your right knee. Take a look over your right shoulder. Pause. Inhale, reach the arms. Exhale, twist to the left. Right hand, left knee. Pause. And inhale, back to center. Exhale, this time we're going to clasp our hands behind our back, send our knuckles towards the floor, open up the chest, send your shoulders back behind you, maybe send your gaze up towards the ceiling. We'll pause here, a few breaths. One more. And then inhale, reach the arms over the head. Exhale, forward fold any amount, bringing your elbows to the floor, leading with your chest. Maybe letting the head hang heavy. And then inhale, back to center, reach the arms. We'll switch our legs, so now we're cross-legged with the other leg in front. Before I had my left leg in front of my right, and I'll just switch them. Inhale, reach the arms. Exhale, forward fold any amount. And then inhale, come on back to center. Let's bring our palms to the floor behind us. Bring the bottoms of the feet to the floor, bending the knees. Inhale as we press our hips up towards the sky. You can let the head hang heavy if you'd like. We're stretching the shoulders here. Exhale, release the hips. One more time. Inhale, press up. Exhale, release. Let's go one more time. Inhale, press up and hold. And then go ahead and release. All right, let's take a tabletop. So cross your feet, roll on over. We'll do a couple cat and cows, warm up the spine. So drop your belly, lift your gaze and tail to the sky. Big breath in. Exhale, push the floor way around, out the back. Inhale, drop the belly. Exhale, push the floor away. Inhale, drop. Exhale, round. One more time. And down. All right, let's tuck our toes, send our hips to the sky, downward facing dog. Pedal out your feet. Whatever feels good in this position. Speaking of this position, this is an inversion. My face gets red when I go upside down, but I'll come to my knees while I talk. But you stay in your downward facing dog. So heels on the floor, palms on the floor. Anytime our head is down and our hips are high and our head and heart are lower than our hips, that's an inversion. So anytime you need to find yourself in an inversion and you don't want to spend too much time thinking about how I'm going to get into headstand, you can take an inversion as a downward facing dog. So continue to rotate the hips, pedal out the feet, send your chest towards your legs the best that you can. Right leg to the sky, inhale, reach it up. Exhale, set it down, left side, inhale, reach it up. Exhale, set it down. Inhale, right leg, bring it up. This time we're gonna bend the knee, open up the hip. And then go ahead and step it all the way through your hands. We're gonna rise up for a warrior one. So arms come to the sky. Hips are facing forward. That back heel is on the floor. Big bend in the front leg. Reach up. And then exhale, hands to the mat. Find your plank. We're gonna lower all the way down to the mat. Inhale, press up, cobra. Exhale down. One more time, cobra. Inhale, press up. Exhale down. Inhale, tuck your toes, press up, high plank. Downward facing dog. Big breath in. Big breath out. Left leg to the sky, bring it up. Exhale, open up the hip. Big breath in. Exhale, step it all the way through. Rise up, warrior one on this side. Ooh, same thing, heel to the floor with that right leg. Reach up tall. Big breath in. Exhale, hands to the mat. Lower all the way down. Inhale, press up, cobra. Exhale down. One more time. Inhale, press up. And down. Tuck your toes, high plank. Downward facing dog. Big breath in. Big breath out. Travel to the front of your mat. So feet between the hands. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, reach the arms all the way to the sky. Let's take a little baby back bend here. Press your hips forward, hands go back. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale to plank. Let's lower halfway this time. Inhale, upward facing dog, tops of the feet. Exhale, downward facing dog. Big breath in. Big breath out. Travel to the front, your way. Tiptoe, hop, step, float, however you want to get there. Halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reach the arms all the way to the sky. Baby back bend. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale to plank. And lower halfway. Elbows in, tops of the feet upward facing. Exhale, downward facing dog. 5 breaths here in your downward facing dog. There's 1. 2. 3. 4. And 5. Come on down into tabletop. And we'll talk for a second. So inversions, why do we do them? There's a lot of reasons. It helps build recovery after a long run, actually. It's probably the biggest reason you guys should be doing them. And I'll get a little bit more in depth on that when we start doing the actual poses. But it also helps with circulation, it helps with relaxation, it helps with build strength. It brings clarity and also adds energy, good energy. More like if you're feeling a little sluggish, you can get upside down and kind of get some of those good vibes going again. So give it a try, see how it goes for you. So just basic inversions. One of the very basic of all, if you have a block or a stack of books or a few pillows, grab a hold of those or something that will work. Excuse me. If you need to pause the video and come back, please do. We're going to take our first inversion here today, and it's just called waterfall. Some people will, or legs up a wall. Some people will do it right up in my class at the studio. Will just go right up to the wall and put their legs on the wall, like so. and just rest like this. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. It increases the circulation, it gets the blood flowing away from the muscles and helps release some of that lactic acid. But it's not getting the hips above your heart when you're just flat on your back like that. So that's why I grab a block. So if you have a block or some books, you're going to come down onto your back and lift up into a bridge pose. So putting the bottoms of your feet on the floor, lift your hips up towards the sky, and set your block down on the floor. And not on your low back, but more like the top half of your butt. And then you can come into like a tuck position and then send your hips up or your feet up to the sky. So here my hips are just slightly above my heart, but above my heart nonetheless. And if you feel like you want a little bit more of a back bend also with your inversion, you can turn your block to the higher setting or the highest setting. I wouldn't probably go that high, but that might be up to you. You can try it out and see what you think. Just setting your block in there underneath your sacrum, the top part of your sacrum, and then send your hip or feet up to the sky. See again, hips above the heart. And then another thing you can do here, and it may be difficult on a wobbly block, but if you are, you can still put the block in under your hips up against the wall, and that might help in this situation. Or you could just put one foot down on the floor. But one thing I did read the other day about running and inverting after your workout for recovery is to also massage the muscles towards your heart. So kind of like wringing them out in a way, like a sponge, sort of wringing them out, helping them recirculate, re-energize, get rid of that lactic acid build up in there. Just help you not be so sore the next day. Maybe you can still get a run in if you're not too sore. So switching, it doesn't have to be for long, but just a little massage. Or even in the bathtub, you know, after your run, take a hot bath and bring your feet up to the sky and give yourself a little massage. So that's our waterfall. That is one way to invert. While we're down here, another way to invert is called a shoulder stand, where we do basically the same thing, but we're going to press our elbows into the floor. Now, I have a bit of a neck injury, so I may not go as high as you can. So just if you have a neck issue, don't do this one necessarily. It's not the greatest on your cervical spine. So I'm not going to go too far into it, and definitely not going to hold it too long, but I will show you the basics. So basically you press your elbows into the floor as you lift your feet up to the sky and your hips up to the sky. Rest your hands on the back of your pelvis and bring your feet up to the sky. Now, some people really get high on their shoulders, but that's up to you if you want to give it a try. The other thing about shoulder stand is do not move your head to turn. Like, I'm not going to turn and look at the camera right now or look at you guys right now because it's just not good for your neck. So if you do take a shoulder stand, don't move your neck while you're in it. And then just slowly, one vertebra at a time, roll yourself back down to the mat. Catch your breath. And then we'll try some other ones. So then come on up to a seated position. All right, from here, we'll try headstand. So coming into all fours. There are a couple ways to do headstand, and some of you may have already done them with me at a retreat or maybe at home, you've tried it. So I'm going to just show you one here in the middle of the floor, but you can also move to a wall just so that you have that extra security so that you don't feel like you're going to tip over. So, but let's just start with just the basics of how to get up into it before we actually go all the way up into it. So from our all fours, we're gonna come down to our forearms. I'll kind of turn it angle, maybe that helps a little bit. Come to our forearms, clasp your hands together to create a cradle for your head. So when I go down to bring my head down into my hands, it's actually gonna land kind of on the back top of my head. So we're not on top of our hands, because then there'll be no stability. Our top of our head needs to touch the floor, and our hands also touch the floor and help kind of dampen any impact that your head will have on the floor. So give that a try. Clasp your hands, set your head down in there so your hands are in the back top half. Tuck the toes behind you, send your hips to the sky. We'll just stay right here first. How does that feel? So come back down to tabletop, release your head, maybe try it again, tuck your head, tuck the toes, hips up, walk maybe your feet closer to your head. Really feel the forearms and the hands anchoring to the floor. So if you want to take turn off the video for a second and practice that, feel free to take that a couple times, and then we'll move on. So once you've done that a couple times, then we'll try lifting a leg and see how that goes. So cradle your hands, bring the top of your head into the hands, tuck your toes hips high, walk your feet closer to your face. Maybe pick up a right leg or a left leg. See how my thigh is touching my belly? Try to get it as close as you can. And then try to roll up over, stacking your hips over your shoulders. And maybe you stay in this little ball, or maybe you go all the way up. And then when you get up there, squeeze, point your toes to engage your quads, so that you are, oh, my face is gonna be bright red. So that you are a stiff wooden pencil, not a rubbery pencil. Point the toes to flex the quads every single time. You can also engage the glutes. The more your legs are tight, the better you're gonna stay up there. So you can also do that against the wall if you want to try it that way. Same thing, just like coming up against the wall instead, so that you don't roll over. It's up to you if you feel like you feel more comfortable doing it in the middle of the room, because you can just tuck and roll. If you're a good somersaulter, you're not afraid of rolling out of it. That is a perfectly safe way to exit, is just tuck and roll. Tuck your chin to your chest and somersault out. So give that a try and see how it goes. If you want to pause the video, feel free. The second way that I'm going to teach you how to headstand is a tripod. So instead of interlacing our fingers together, our hands are going to be on the mat. So bring them down to the mat and spread the fingers wide. And I say this every single time. Anytime we're on our hands, spread the fingers wide and dig the fingertips into the mat. Dig them in like you're palming a basketball with one hand. Dig them in, okay? Anytime we're on them, down dog, tabletop, just practice digging them in. Like that middle knuckle is even gonna pop up off of the ground. You're digging in so hard. So it just helps stabilize you, just like a dining room table that has they need to have a big base to keep everything upright and stable on that table. So same with our bodies. If we're on our hands, make that stable base. Okay, enough of that. All right, tripod headstand, stable base. Head comes to the floor, elbows bend 90 degrees. Same thing, tuck the toes, hips high to the sky, walk your feet towards your face. Maybe you take one knee and set it on top of your elbow. And if that feels okay, maybe take the other one and set it on top of the other. Try that to start before you go all the way up. Knee on top of elbow, stacking bone on bone. So When you bend your elbow, there's this like perfectly flat little spot that is like an excellent spot to rest your knee for other arm balances, for this tripod headstand. It's just this perfect little divot flat spot. Like there's no muscle there that's gonna get hurt or bruised. It's just perfect. So find that spot. That's where you're gonna set your knee. All right, so if you've done that and you feel comfortable with that, let's try one leg up and then maybe two legs up. Remember, point your toes, flex your legs, stiff wooden pencil. No rubber pencils, okay? Head down on the floor, dig your fingertips into the mat, hips high to the sky. Elbow on the knee, elbow on the knee. Maybe we pick up one leg, flex that leg, hips over shoulders. Both legs up. Point the toes. Engage the legs. Come on down. How did that go for you? Try it a few times if you're uncomfortable. It is definitely more upper body doing it that way. You have to push your hands into the floor. Really push the hands into the floor. The key is hips over shoulders. So that's why we walk our feet forward. Because as we walk our feet forward, our hips are coming above our shoulders. If I'm back here, I'm never gonna get there. I gotta stack them up, legs to belly. Okay, shoulder or hips over shoulders, stack them. The more you can stack in a straight line, the easier it will be. Try that. And we'll move on to forearm stand. So forearm stand is a whole nother animal. It requires a lot of shoulder flexibility, which I don't have a lot of. So what I like to do before I start any shoulder standing, you can do it a couple different ways. You can do it from, well, if you have blocks, maybe not the greatest idea. If you have a stool, or you can go up against the wall. But you can get a stool or a chair, put your hands down on it, send your chest and head through your hands. I've had to kind of take a wide leg stance here to get through here because of the height of this stool. You can always, if you have a smaller chair, actually I could probably do it from my knees. Yeah, that works too. From your knees. So we're just like opening up the shoulders, sending them forward, letting your head hang heavy. You can also do it up against the wall. I'll turn this way so you can see against the wall. Bringing your hands up on the wall. Feet stand back just a little bit and send your chest towards the wall. This kind of helps open up those shoulders. We need our shoulders to be open and flexible for shoulder stand, or for our forearm stand, which is also called pincha in yoga terms. So for our forearm stand, if it's your very first time trying it, I recommend going up against the wall. So I'll move my mat over to the wall so that we can all practice it on the wall together. So we're at the wall. Just like headstand, we're gonna start in a tabletop. Hands are on the floor. Now, maybe I should bring this a little closer so that you can see better. There we go. Okay, so hands are not clasped. Now, the very first time I ever tried this, I did clasp my hands, but I gotta tell you that I did not feel very stable. We have more surface area if your whole hand is on the floor versus just like the knife edge side of your hand. That's not the most stable, so I don't really recommend it, but if you want to try it, maybe it works better for you than it did for me. I'm not sure. I'm gonna leave that one up to you. So for forearm stand, palms on the floor. Now ideally, a lot of people have their hands like this apart. My shoulders are so tight that my hands start to come together. So I actually prefer to create a V shape with my arms, but if you feel flexible enough in your shoulders to keep your arms like this parallel, do that, because that will give you more stability in your forearm stand than this, because once your elbows start to go, everything starts to kind of crumble. So you want to try to keep them tight, keep them in. Even if your hands touch, try really hard to keep your elbows in, because that will give you a better, more solid base. So hands down on the floor, my fingers touch, like I just said, and my elbows kind of come out a little bit. It's not ideal, but that's what works in my body. You see what works for you. So we'll push up into not a push up, but we will press up into a dolphin pose. So tuck your toes and send your hips high to the sky. See how that feels. So this is dolphin. This is the beginning part of a forearm stand. So take a look behind you, let your head hang heavy, stretch out the shoulders, big breath in. Exhale back to your knees. Inhale, press up. Exhale down. I'll just warm up the shoulders, get them ready. Big breath in. Exhale, press them up. Inhale down. Exhale, press them up. Let's do that one more time. And send them up. And then maybe shake them out. So how's that feel? Do you feel anything in there? When I do it, mine, I feel all kinds of feels in there because they're so tight all the time. So you may feel something different. You may feel more tightness maybe in your neck or your hips. So that, wherever you feel tight will be a place that you'll need to work on. Maybe warm up a little bit more before we start next time. So from there, let's take that dolphin pose. Tuck your toes, send your hips to the sky. Walk your feet in as close as you can, and then pick up one leg. And then kind of point the toes and take a little hop with that other leg. So leverage with the left, little kick with the right. And maybe you'll find the wall behind you. So one leg's gonna stay straight the entire time and flex. The other one's just gonna kick up, little kick up, little kick up. Maybe you find the wall. Let's try it again. Hips high to the sky. Walk your feet forward. Pick up one leg, point the toe. Leverage, little kick. Leverage, little kick. Leverage, little, ooh, there's the wall. There it is. Point your toes. Engage the quads. Stack hips over shoulders. How did that go? I want to know how it went. So pause and try it a few times. Have some playtime. The wall is there for your safety net. So enjoy it and have some fun. We'll do handstand next really briefly, and then we'll do a little cool down. And then we'll get out of here and we'll get going on some other more stretchy stuff next time. Okay, handstand. I usually do a good 2 to 3 hour workshop just on handstand. So this is gonna be very, very brief overview of some cool stuff about handstand. If you are interested in learning more, I'd be happy to have a conversation with you, or we could do a little handstand live workshop if you guys wanted to. So let Jen know what you're interested in. I'm happy to help out in any way I can. So anywho, handstand, same thing. Anytime our hands are on the floor, fingers nice and wide, dig your fingertips into the mat. From downward facing dog, we will try just a regular handstand kick up. Now I will say that handstand, just like the others, it's all about the stacking. Hips over shoulders, shoulders are over wrist, wrist, shoulder, hips, toes, all in one straight line. And I also will say that the straight handstand is the absolute hardest one to get to hold because of all the technical things that you need to have in working order to hold it. So don't be discouraged if you can't hold a straight handstand, but you might be able to hold a straddle. That's very, very, very normal. And we'll talk about that a little bit. There's a lot of different shapes in handstand, and there's a lot of different ways to get up into it. So I'm just gonna kind of really briefly go over that stuff. So we'll just start with kicking up to handstand, and if you'd like, you can do it up against the wall, or let's just take a few kick-ups in the middle of the room just for warm-up sake, and just sort of get the feel of it. So from downward facing dog, we'll make our down dog stance a little bit shorter. We'll send our leg to the sky, doesn't matter which one. I got my left leg up. Same thing we did in pincha, is one straight up and the other one just little kick. One straight up, other one little kick. And then you can try switching sides. Maybe the right one goes up, left one little kick. Try that a few times and see how that goes. If you feel more comfortable doing it up against the wall, you can do the same exact thing. Maybe you'll catch a little bit more air because you feel a little bit more confident. But same thing, hands on the floor, leg up, kick. Oh, I touched the wall, there it was. There it was. When you get up there, legs tight, super tight. Point your toes, flex every muscle in your legs. No floppy pencils, flex the legs, tight, tight, tight. All right, try it again. Kick up, little kick. That other one just bends. One is straight, one is bent. See if you can find the wall. Really pressing the hands into the floor. Shoulders up. So not this, this. Okay? So that's another one you can try. Maybe to pause and take a few rounds. We're going to try a couple other handstand entries. One of my favorites that I was able to hold a handstand in the very first shape was a straddle. And the straddle kick up. And we didn't really stretch our inner thighs that much, so you might want to just take, you know, a little bit of side to side lunging. Stretch out those inner thighs a little bit. Or maybe even a middle split. As far as you can. Don't worry about going all the way down. It's just going for the stretch. All right. Doesn't have to be much. I mean, it does if you're going to spend a lot of time doing it, but today's practice is just kind of like a little taste. So, same thing, hands on the floor, downward facing dog. This time though, we're going to walk our feet closer, bend the knees, point and kick your feet out to the side. So as you jump up, kick out to the side, not up, out, flex the legs, point the toes. Try that. Maybe you get a few inches off the floor, maybe you get a few feet off the floor, maybe you're able to hold. See where you go with that. Hands, again, wide, fingers wide. Dig them into the mat. Take a few like that, see how it goes. Hips above shoulders. Shoulders over wrists. Maybe you find some hold. You can also do that against the wall as well. Kicking up, find the wall, hold your straddle, come back down. And the last one we're going to talk about today is a tuck, which is maybe in the middle. So I feel like straddle might be the easiest, then tuck, and then the straight. Straight's hard. Once you get up there, you really got to hold everything tight. Tuck is more about being comfortable getting your hips over the shoulders, because now we're bringing our legs into play, and my legs are heavier than any part of my body. So I need to make sure they're balanced perfectly centered Otherwise, I'm going to tip over one way or the other. So speaking of tipping over one way or the other, if you're in the middle of the room and you do feel like you're going to tip over, just cartwheel out. So maybe in your warm-up, practice some cartwheels so that you feel familiar and comfortable with cartwheels. Again, I know we all did when we were kids. We're not kids anymore, so it may not be as easy as it used to be. But take a few cartwheel warm-ups to just get familiar with that again. So, all right, tuck jumps. We're gonna jump into tuck. So finding downward facing dog, walk your feet slightly forward, bend the knees, kick up. Now bring your feet to your butt, so it's like a butt kick. Bring your feet to your butt, try to balance hips over shoulders. See if you can get up a couple inches, couple feet. Maybe you hover and hold for a couple seconds. You can also do it up against the wall. I'm all out of breath. Pardon me. Same thing up against the wall. Hands on the floor. Bend the knees. Tuck jump. Oh, there's the wall. So now I can hold it, touch my toes on it. Maybe I can take one set of toes off. Maybe two. See how long you can hold it there. All right, lots to play with, you guys. So we got tuck, jump, straddles, and straight handstand. Lots more, even where that came from is literally the fastest, quickest little overview. But like I said, if you have questions or want to know more, you could DM me, text me. I can give you guys my number, or we could set up a Zoom or something like that. So let me know. Let's take a little cool down. We worked pretty hard today, especially if you turned me off and practiced a little bit on your own, because I know I'm out of breath and I probably only did half of what you guys probably did. So let's actually come to a seated position. And just take your legs straight out in front. Inhale, reach the arms all the way to the sky. Exhale, forward fold any amount. Let your head hang heavy if that feels good. We'll stay about 5 breaths. All right, inhale, come on back to center. Let's take a pigeon pose, setting that left leg back behind you, right leg, that right shin parallel-ish to the top of the mat. You can stay nice and tall, or maybe sleep your pigeon, come on down. Any amount. And then inhale, come on back to center. We'll switch sides, so tuck your toes, high plank, pedal them out, switch sides. Pigeon on the left, send the right leg back. You can stay tall or sleep. And then come on back to center. Let's swing that right leg all the way around to the front. Butterfly, bring the bottoms of the feet together. Grab a hold of the feet, sit nice and tall, big breath in. Exhale, forward fold. sit tall. Let's interlace our hands behind our back again. Send our knuckles towards the floor. Big breath in. And exhale, release. Let's cross our right arm over our body. Stretch out that tricep and shoulder that we worked so hard. And then up and over. Pulling their elbow, right elbow with the left hand. And release, left arm across the body. And up and over. And then let's interlace our hands again, but then turn your palms out, round out the back, tuck your chin to your chest. And then inhale, go ahead and sit tall. If you want to take a final resting pose, taking your Shavasana, go ahead and roll all the way down to your backs. If you have somewhere to go and you want to turn off, go for it. Otherwise, you can stay in your Shavasana as long as you'd like. Relax every single muscle in your body, including your tongue. Let it fall from the roof of your mouth. Let your eyes sink heavy and deep into their sockets. Release the muscles in your face. And just rest.